Wednesday, November 9th. My name is Tom Magrino. We are here in the GameSpot HotSpot studios. I have with me my merry band of brothers. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Greetings, Thomas.
Chris
Hello.
Waters, how are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, folks. This is my first video hotspot action.
Pretty exciting, right?
I know.
Of Chris Waters of On the Spot fame. We also have, who's that guy?
Hey,
J.
I want to start this on a sad note.
Nope, can't. Why?
There was a passing of one of our colleagues, one of
Jesus
the
Christ.
famed CBS employees.
Which one was that?
Andy Rooney passed away since our last recording.
Oh, did he now?
Yes, and I'm a big Andy Rooney fan, so just want to mention him.
So we'll just say that this chair right now is the ghost of Andy Rooney.
That
and
is
so
sad.
It will soon be occupied by Kevin Van Ord as soon as he is
Yes.
done recording whatever he's doing. That's more important apparently than the hotspot. I don't know what. We really need to hire a chick. Have you guys realized that? We have all dudes.
Yeah.
When I
We
said
don't
merry
have a lot
band-
of ladies on the GameSpot staff these days.
When I said merry band of brothers, it just kind of occurred to me that we need a lady.
All right.
We'll
Well,
make things nice around here.
why don't you get talking
get on
to
that.
HR? Yeah.
Yeah.
See-
I
see-
think I'm gonna have to talk to HR after that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Whoops. Anyway, we're gonna move on to Modern Warfare 3. Chris Waters, this game came out
Came out all
Tuesday.
over the
It
world.
came out all over the world. I've had a little bit of a chance to play it. I played a lot of it.
Yes, I wrote the review for the Xbox 360 version.
Right.
And for those of you wondering, working on the PC review currently, that should be up by the end of the day. And they only send us the 360 copy early, so that's why we don't have multi-platform reviews up,
Right.
as
Yeah.
is often the case.
And we definitely need to
Have significant time with
play
each
them.
one in order to, release a reliable review that you folks at home can trust.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, I played this a little bit last night, and prior to playing it, I had it in my mind to ask you. We get a lot of people saying this is a single-player game. Why are they throwing in a multiplayer component? This is ruining everything. And then my question, initial,
in regards to other games,
yeah,
like Mass Effect or
Skyrim
something
or
like.
Mass
Okay,
Effect
yeah,
and everything.
sure.
And so a game like Call of Duty, it seems like, its real strength is its multiplayer. And so my question was going to be something along the lines of, why don't we get the same kind of response? Like, why is Infinity Ward even bothering with a single player? Because shooter stories are awful and it's a waste of time, and what the hell, it could be used in some other way.
Okay, you were going to ask me that question?
I was going to ask you that question. But then I played the single player component last night, and that game is totally super rad.
Yeah.
So I played all of the Modern Warfare games and some of the recent other ones, and I don't know, when I'm playing them, the first couple, I probably played the first ones for about an hour each, and then I played hour and a half maybe of Modern Warfare 3 single player campaign, and it was just so intense. Like, I don't think any game this year has violently hooked me and held me as Modern Warfare 3 has done.
That's what they do best.
Yeah. No, well, I don't know. That's not normally what they
Well,
do.
that's one. They are some of the best in the business at doing that.
Yeah.
Their campaigns. I think your question that you were going to ask but then didn't is more applicable to like a Battlefield, because that is a more specifically multiplayer focused game. But I mean, ever since Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare came out, I mean, part of the reason people love that game was because of the campaign and the way they told stories and the way you had these experiences in a shooter.
Right.
I mean, you died first person. That's not something that you would see a lot.
It's true.
It was scripted for you to die. Right. And I think Modern Warfare 3's campaign does what those campaigns have done very well, and it just takes it to. It refines it even further. I mean, they're clearly masters of their craft.
Yeah.
The highlight for me is these big, and early on you're in New York City, and that's one of the demos they showed off at E3, I believe, was the sort of submarine infiltration one. But you have these cities under siege, New York, Paris, etc., where you are on multiple different fronts and you sort of hop between them. And that gameplay variety is something that Call of Duty has done really well. You're doing the AC-130 Overwatch, you're shooting from a helicopter, you're running along on the ground shooting people. They just transition so well within a given conflict that in Modern Warfare 3 that it just like it hooks you, like you were saying. You know, you go from these different parts and you feel like you're part of this big battle. You're getting to see it from different angles, and they do that better in Modern Warfare 3 than they have in the past.
And I want to clarify that this story isn't good. I would say that this story is pretty awful. The way it hooked me is kind of like the way the Da Vinci Code hooked me, where again you've got a very bad story, but it's just like at the end of each chapter, I'm like, oh my god, I got to keep playing. Like I'm really absorbed in what's going on, and even though it's not some artistic masterpiece, it's just super entertaining.
Sure, and it does like the Da Vinci Code comparison is apt. It's when you're watching a movie or playing a game, there's so much more going on to attract you and draw you in than just the story. Like if someone's going to ask you what's that game about and you're going to tell them it's about so the Russians are attacking us and then we have to fight them, like you're not going to recount a story that's going to make them interested. You're going to say you're like, I was fighting here and the buildings were falling down and there's these explosions and I had to like get off the street and then go up through the like then there was a helicopter sticking to the side of the building. Like it's this whole delivery system of their experience that they do it really, really well.
Yeah, I mean the story that they're telling is a group of badass dudes doing badass things and saying badass things while they're doing it. And I don't know. I know a lot, especially McShay, you here are often saying that these stories need a moralistic component.
I don't even care anymore.
You don't even care anymore. You've given up the argument.
No, I think it's sad. Like that's just it. Like people love this stuff and they eat it up and they just consume the war culture and they're feeding into it and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I feel defeated.
Defeated.
That's it. They can enjoy this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's fun. But yeah, it's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
It is. It is disgusting.
It is. Yeah,
it is a game that glorifies war and makes war seem fun and makes shooting guns and people fun, and that's what people want, and that's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they make a moral story or not. People just want to blow stuff up, and it's so depressing to me.
And I will say that blowing stuff up in this game is really fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is.
And
so,
it's kind of
Magrino, do you feel desensitized at all to like the war efforts and stuff with this? Do you feel?
So this game I've only played perhaps the first 6 or 7 missions, and in that time, the things that I have played are destroying Manhattan and kind of I'm not entirely sure where I was, but it seemed like some backwater Russian town.
I think you're in like India.
India? Okay. I don't know where I was. I forget.
Or Pakistan.
Somewhere where it basically picks up where Modern Warfare 2 left off. So you're dealing with the soap and the price kind of ordeal.
Yes.
So to get to your point of desensitization and whatever, when I was in the Manhattan area, it was nothing to me. Like it didn't feel real or realistic, or it just felt like it was goofy and okay, I just blew up or I just saw a helicopter fly into a tower, or I'm shooting through some construction on my big chopper, whatever. It was not particularly impactful to me. When I went to the Indian town, the outpost, whatever that was, that actually felt more intense and more real. And while I was playing it, there were actually moments, and I can't remember doing this in years. There were moments where I was just like, oh my, holy Jesus, what the hell? I'm thinking of one scenario in particular. So I'm going to go to the overhead view, and you might be able to see Kevin Van Ord sneaking into the room. There he is.
Stealthy.
There he is. Sitting down.
All right.
All right.
Get your headphones on. Tom's telling us the question on the table is McShay asking Magrino, does he feel desensitized given, he's been playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 campaign?
Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is when I'm in this backwater town and they're just random acts brutality, I'm like, holy Jesus, that was a little excessive. I got to be honest. But so I guess it depends. In some ways they do it right, some ways they do it wrong.
I actually, so Tom and I totally see McShay's point is absolutely valid. This is a game that unabashedly celebrates war culture and even the noob versus the vet campaign, for all its sort of tongue-in-cheek, comedy bent. Like we were saying in the office the other day, it is a dude holding a gun and shooting a gun. There is no it removes that abstraction of I'm holding a controller, or even the abstraction from Black Ops where everyone was on the battlefield but dressed in their like office clothing.
Yep.
I actually, when I was playing through Modern Warfare 3 campaign, there's this one point where you're in Africa and you are this sort of, you're rolling with Captain Price and he's got all his gear on and his ballistic vest and his hat and his mustache, and you're fighting these militia tribesmen who are like wearing a sleeveless shirt and some running shorts and trying to shoot you with a gun, and you're just like mowing them down, and it is just like constant hundreds and hundreds of people just like lives being discarded. And unless you're playing it on hardened or veteran, you are going through these guys pretty quickly, and it's not a far leap from the infamous no Russian level in Modern Warfare 2, where it's just like all these virtual people are dying and ha 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 ha. That said, I am still in Magrino's camp. I have a blast playing these games, and I
have never. I'm not arguing that it's fun.
No,
that's not the point of that.
I know.
There are other ways to have fun other than like mimicking real life soldiers with real life guns in real life environments, and I just think it's so disgusting.
But I mean,
I can't even get passionate about this anymore. It's like the masses have spoken, and they want to salute this stuff, and this is one of the things I think that's really wrong with our society, and it's what we do. We love war. We love it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it. This embodies that.
Right.
Yeah, and it is a striking example given how popular this specifically Call of Duty and the Modern Warfare series is. There are millions of people playing this game right now as we speak.
No, that's totally true, because I did a little bit of the multiplayer last night, and it does a kind of an interesting thing where it ranks you on your kill count. Is that what it's called? It's like kill count
on your
rank,
kills, and then on your score. It sort of shows you your global rank in a ticker at the bottom. While you're waiting.
So this game came out yesterday. I probably logged on around 10:30, 10 maybe, and I was number 4 million or thereabouts, which seems a little excessive to me, and it didn't do wonders for my personal value.
If you want a self-esteem boost, don't go play Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer.
Yeah, and that was kind of the other thing that I noticed about Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, which I feel is actually, for this game and the time I've spent with it so far, is not the draw for this game at this point, for me personally. But playing the opening level or the opening night of this game, I felt like I was playing against a bunch of pros. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know when I became the old man in the room where I'm like, where are the newfangled controllers? I don't know how to actually shoot somebody. I don't know when that happened, but that's disturbing.
Well, I think that you play a game so close to the early release that you don't have a lot of time for there to be any kind of separation in terms of ranking, and I'm not sure to what extent the Call of Duty matchmaking system sort of tries to separate people based on rank.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it does make an effort. But if you're playing it right now, you're playing with people who are getting their first hours of the game and maybe logged 100 hours with Black Ops online or something like that. So take heart that you can succeed. And you know what? The thing that this system is so refined at this point, the whole like giving you experience feedback and helping you level up and get your more powerful guns, that even if you're playing and you like die 5 times in a row, if you get one kill at the end of that, you can score anywhere from like 200 to like 1500 XP just for that act, just for the comeback, just for the that guy killed you 8 times before, revenge. Like these things stack so vigorously that they try to make it accessible in that way. I guess they try to give you that satisfaction.
Yeah, but it kind of comes off as a little. It hurts my self-esteem more because it's just like, oh, I've got this juice
pandering to you
10 times in a row, and I'm still getting murdered like a fool. Like,
maybe you just need to mix up your strategy a little bit.
Maybe I just need to switch to RTSs or something. I don't know.
I'm sure StarCraft 2 Online will be your thing.
Yeah, that'll really help.
That's where I excel. StarCraft 2 Online, in my bronze or copper league or whatever it is. I don't know.
So here, this made me think of. Now I'm in the middle of this conversation. I'm sorry I missed the beginning, but like you were talking about the desensitization and stuff. I'm reminded of in the comments section some time ago where because I've been talking about. I actually appreciated No Russian in Modern Warfare 2, but the reason I appreciated it is because I felt so sickened when I played it. Like I was simultaneously I was upset, but that's what made me appreciate it, because I was like, it's a rare game that can make you feel kind of depraved.
Yeah, and it gives you that emotional reaction, which, having the emotional reaction of upset is far different from having the emotional reaction of Rambo gunning people down.
Yeah, but it was really interesting because I remember a guy, and nothing against this dude, but I remember a guy in the comment section, essentially saying, "Hey, you're a pansy, for letting that affect you. What's wrong with you?" kind of thing. And
Whoa.
I guess that kind of makes me. It kind of does sort of point to maybe this culture that's so totally desensitized to the idea that death, as depicted in a game or as depicted in a movie or depicted anywhere is something to be horrified by. I mean, yes, we get accustomed to death in video games because we play video games, but it's still very easy to sort of, a lot of that's fantastical violence or violence that doesn't really relate to what we might see in the real world. So when it does relate to something we see in the real world, sometimes that can be affecting. And I think I've always felt, at least, that Modern Warfare doesn't try to make statements outwardly, that its statements are more just the very nature of what they're doing. The statements of like, because one of my problems with No Russian, and the thing that made me like feel most depraved, is at the end of the level, it's like none of what you did made any freaking difference whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like you still, spoilers, you still die. So it doesn't matter whether or not you didn't shoot anybody. You may have shot some of those innocent people, and then it was all for nothing because what you were there to do in the first place mattered not.
Yeah.
And
you were there to be found on the scene dead.
Yeah. And so to me, like there's just an intrinsic statement in like, here's the horrors of war, and sometimes here's something pithy. Sometimes things just don't work out.
No, it's kind of interesting too, because in Modern Warfare 3 in the beginning, and I don't know, it's like there's a very early level where you're not you're in a very controlled environment. Like it's not an airport, it's an airplane, and then things happen and you're in this situation again where you just feel very helpless. And I guess if Modern Warfare has any kind of commentary, and something that I was picking up a lot when I was playing the opening levels of this game, is that you are largely helpless in these kind of wars. Like you're just a dude. And obviously that's not entirely true, because you still have
unless you're Soap and Price. Yeah.
In which case you knife
Yuri,
the dude in the face,
Nikolai.
Or Makarov or whoever. But there are those moments of relief where you're like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on right now? I don't know if I'm the only one who feels that way. But
Well, no, I mean, I think that one of the thrills of Modern Warfare 3 is when they make you strive for control in an out-of-control situation. The airplane level is a great example of that. But they do, I think part of them taking on this big scale is that they make you feel smaller. And you certainly have an impact, and they make you feel it. But you also, in a lot of the levels, you see dead civilians in Modern Warfare 3. You see them in New York City. You see them you see civilians in India. You see them notably in Paris later on. And I think that is a step in the right direction for them in terms of, warfare and showing the carnage, that is there, and not just, oh, my squad mates are running up and getting shot and being done. But then they also have their, like, the scene that they tried to be sort of the shocking scene. I don't think you have gotten there yet.
I think so.
It basically involves a family on vacation.
Be as vague as you possibly can.
It involves a family on vacation and a father holding the camcorder.
Okay.
And then, there are tragic results. And it's really misguided. Like it's out of place.
Yeah.
It's a bid for shock value that doesn't fit in with the rest of the campaign, and it's so obvious from the moment that scene starts. You know what's going to happen.
Right.
That all you have to do is like you're left to just watch it play out, and you feel like you're a captive audience playing this game, and they're just like, here, we're going to show you this, and you're going to watch it.
And that's sort of what makes it different from something like No Russian, right? Whereas one you make a decision, and so you kind of feel responsible for the depravity, as opposed to this moment where you're just forced to watch something that's gross.
Yeah, I mean, and for those of you who would play this game with disturbing content off, you probably won't see that scene. I haven't played through to check, but since Modern Warfare 2, was that the first one that did that? The option they give you at the beginning, this game features disturbing content. You can elect not to see it. But yeah, there's no Russian, but they do, they do have this sort of civilian angle in there, which I kind of appreciated because I would stop and take a look and be like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Can I ask a Call of Duty question? As
Yes.
someone who does not play most of these games.
Sure.
Do it.
So I know that they try to get sympathy from when your character dies sometimes. Like Modern Warfare, you're supposed to feel bad about that. And with civilians dying, you're supposed to feel bad. Is there ever sympathy for when your enemy dies? Do they do that angle?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's basically the way they create enemies in this game is they're like reprehensible human beings, and they just.
So the
I mean,
leaders of the enemies are reprehensible, or the actual people you're shooting are reprehensible?
Well,
the
they're just
actual people you're shooting are nameless, faceless. I mean, I feel like.
Sometimes they're reprehensible, like that India scene. You come out of your compound
that's
into the
true.
village. There are people running and getting gunned down by the people that you then shoot.
Okay.
So that's actively, making them
No, that's-
reprehensible. But, for the most part, a lot of the time you're just fighting
Nameless faces.
agents of the evil.
Okay.
There's no, and they seem a little bit less. I feel like Modern Warfare 3 does a little bit better job of animating them so they seem a little bit less robotic. Like, a lot more often they'll go down and then like try to scoot away and shoot at you as they go. But there's no, like, to your original question, there's no moment where you feel like sympathy for Makarov or for the head of the militiamen who was supplying him with, such and such items. There's no attempt to sort of portray that gray
See,
area.
one of the things, I'm like the one person who appreciated Velvet Assassin. I couldn't remember the name for a second. It was a stealth game in World War II. And one of the things I really thought they did well was, like, you'd sneak up on Nazis. It was a Nazi game. And you'd be able to eavesdrop or read their letters and stuff. And sometimes they would be like, let's round up all the prisoners, let them go, and then shoot them in the back. It was like a game called Rabbit. And you're like, oh, these are actual bad human beings. They deserve some kind of punishment.
Yeah.
Other people would be like, I hate this war. I don't want to be here. I want to go home. I don't agree with it. And you're like, oh, these Nazis, they are fighting for Germany because they were born in Germany, but they don't actually support the cause. They just need to do this. And it was interesting just portraying Nazis as real people as opposed to monsters. And I really appreciate that approach because then sometimes I would have to kill those people anyway. And I actually felt bad about it because it's like, these guys didn't deserve to die. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were unlucky. So I think that's like a really smart way to make a war game where you actually feel sympathy for your actions and you actually feel like you're doing something impactful as opposed to just mowing down monsters.
Well, there's another example of that, and it's a different kind of shooter, but Arma 2 is something that does some very similar things. For example, in the first part of the Arma 2 campaign, you're discovering these mass graves and discovering that there are atrocities going on out here. But you also speak to, soldiers and civilians on the other side and realize that there are victims here across that cross military and civilian boundaries. And sometimes you're just the victim of circumstance, like Tom says. But it's stuff like that makes you feel, right, as opposed to just shooting aimless dudes, in an exciting shooter. But I'm fine with Call of Duty. Like, I don't have the same kind of overall disgust in general that Tom has with it. But I also recognize that it's sort of, it is the kind of the Team America fuck yeah approach, right? Which is that we all.
It's fine. No, it's fine. Let it ride.
I know. I'm
sorry
just,
to what?
Just.
Oh, I
Colin
forgot that we
Prime or
don't
something?
bleep that stuff.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
it's a
bleep.
reminder. It's a reminder.
Whoever wrote in, I think his name was Freedom of Prime, and said, geez, thanks a lot, guys. As soon as Curtis said the F word, the little girl walked in. It's like,
Oh,
come on.
sorry.
Yeah, that's my bad.
It's okay to send me hate mail over that one. I completely forgot that we're not.
No, it's
bleeping
okay.
this stuff.
I fully endorse the corrupting of little children.
But
so
that's
it's cool.
But that's the thing, right? Like it's the
So,
most
no, good.
simplistic view of war, which is that we're the good guys no matter what, and they're the bad guys no matter what. And it always hammers at home too, because so often in these games, we're the good guys, and the bad guys are always, people with brown skin that look like whatever America's current enemy is at any given time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Modern Warfare 3 does that, but I think there is an element
That's the thing
of
that
that
really, I mean,
all the
that's
time in these games.
That's how war is portrayed. Like real wars are portrayed as us versus them, and it's not like that. It's one person killing another person, and we're all, and that's what makes me so disgusted when I play these games. It's like you're turning this into like a fun shooting gallery, which is just such BS. Like that's not what war is.
I think Chris made a good point earlier when he said that these games are taking steps towards being better at humanizing war. Like if you look back at Call of Duty 2 or the original Call of Duty, that was dudes shooting other dudes, nameless, whatever. You didn't get any kind of comment or morality, whatever. You got fun gameplay. But with Modern Warfare, I feel like they have started to actually make an effort to.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, as we covered, there's
progress.
like three parts of the people involved. There's
Yeah.
civilians, there's the good soldiers and the bad soldiers, and they've
I've
covered two of those. The third ones are still mindless, horrible monsters, which is.
I am happy that there is efforts being made and progress is being made. I don't expect them to have, the great Schindler's List or whatever is the penultimate.
Well, the toughest part about this is the most popular part is the multiplayer.
Right.
And there's almost no way to make that. I mean, I can't remember the name of the game. It was the EA game last year. Medal of Honor was like, hey, what if we have American soldiers fighting the Taliban in multiplayer? And it's like, oh, you can't do that.
Because then you could play as the Taliban shooting American soldiers.
Yes, because you can't. If it's reversed, then it's like. I don't know how to make it so multiplayer so people understand what's going on, but that's one of the bigger issues in this.
But that's interesting because Battlefield has in the past. I haven't played Battlefield 3, so I don't know how that's set up. But it's okay if it's sort of a fictional modern day thing where we call it something different, like the pack or whatever it was in Battlefield 2. Like then it's okay to shoot coalition soldiers and whatever because they're fictional. Even though they're fictional representations of perhaps real world,
Fighting forces.
Exactly, of real world fighting forces. So but because then they're going so far for authenticity that it's real stuff, then that's when everybody starts to have that kind of problem.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't see that kind of more nuanced or mature look at war surfacing in any kind of competitive multiplayer that involves deathmatch, basically.
Well, I mean, there is
the
a game
mode
that does
is called
it though.
Deathmatch, for Christ's sake.
It doesn't have to be, but there is a game that does that. Red Orchestra, like when you die, it's more permanent, isn't it? It's like it's a real pain in that game. It's not like you just respawn instantly. So you understand more the idea of like, hey, death equals death, as opposed to death equals 5 seconds of inconvenience.
Well, even Counter-Strike.
Right. Well, I mean, there's modes like that in Modern Warfare 3 where you don't respawn, and in Gears of War 3, there are modes that do that definitely amp up the tension because you value your own life more and you're not being as reckless. And so if that's the kind of, I think that's the closest you're going to get to that kind of like acknowledgement of life as sacred, because that is exactly contrary to, the idea of like getting into a game and just having my virtual dude kill your virtual dude. And that like the satisfaction and fun I've had like doing that over the past 15 years, is immeasurable. Like I love doing it. It's so fun.
Can you imagine if they took the ideas of, this is going to sound really weird coming from me, took the ideas of Farmville and integrated it into a competitive thing? Because Farmville, it's like you can sow 3 seeds a day. Don't correct me. This is exactly what you do.
3 seeds a day.
So what if they just
care.
did that with Modern Warfare? All of a sudden, it's like you have 3 lives.
Like a day?
You have 3 lives, and how are you going to value those lives? And the way that Activision would actually be compelled to do this is you monetize the lives, so people keep spending money. But I mean,
that sounds kind of cool.
If you had 3 lives
not
per
the
day,
monetized part.
that would completely change the way you view everything, and it would completely change when you kill someone. You'd be like, "Wow, that guy's not coming back for
Is this Tom McShay coming up with an interesting idea for military shooters?
No.
I actually
Yeah,
had a
that
whole.
actually
There's
Yeah.
innovation in the
I actually
space.
had a whole
That's true.
design
That's
doc that I
kinda
wrote in
neat.
2009 that I didn't say. Now I forgot but there is a way to do this intelligently, and there's a way to do it so it's not just all fun and games, and it's actually like an interesting, introspective challenge.
But
I
I
don't
think that's part
that
of the
would be
problem.
popular.
Yeah.
But
That's
I mean,
why.
Facebook is popular. Like so I mean, I don't know. Somebody ripped me off.
So you make it a
What about-
make it a Facebook game. Why not?
Rip off my idea, and maybe you make it a mode in Call of Duty. It's a different kind of thing, and
Yeah.
I think it actually could be interesting.
So we may or may not see this in the indie space. I'm going to cut off the discussion here so that we can move on past Modern Warfare 3. Chris Waters, you think the game is up, down, side, up? Oh, even hurt himself? Needing a Band-Aid.
Oh,
Because
Yeah.
of Modern Warfare 3.
so I have a
This is like
tiny
a-
Please don't
Band-Aid.
bleed on anything in the studio.
I
That would
wheeled
be
home like a giant
fabulous.
computer to capture footage all weekend, so I
It's a
could
la-
play
this
from the
is a
comfort of my
laptop.
home.
It's a giant laptop.
Oh no,
Okay.
the laptop didn't work. I had to take
That's
I took
that
a
is
Pelican home.
work-related injury right there. I would sue CBS
You know what those
for
big
everything
black?
they're worth.
They're like
I know
this
what the Pelican is.
big.
Yeah.
They're
Did you
serious.
cab it home or did you
No.
public transit?
Bart.
Look
Bart?
at you.
That was an uncomfortable BART ride.
It was
Awkward.
Fine. It was
Okay.
fine.
All right, we're going to move on. So let's get to something else that Tom McShay feels very strongly about.
Oh no.
Another thing?
Yes.
I feel strongly about everything. though.
So during the week, Mass Effect 3 beta leaks online. It actually
Friday.
happened. It happened over the weekend. We here on the GameSpot news desk like to, not work on the weekend, so that didn't actually. get
we
worked out.
here.
We here on the GameSpot news desk.
I worked this weekend, Magrino.
That's
I
because
worked
you
this
didn't work
weekend.
during the
I
week.
worked this weekend.
Oh, you guys! You're
And
making
during
me
the
look
week.
awful. I feel like such a slouch. I was actually at my wife's sister's wedding.
You were, I hear, cleanly
That's right.
shaven at that wedding.
I was cleanly shaven at that wedding.
Wait
So
a minute.
we're gonna have to derail first. I apologize.
I know.
I apparently got roped into this bet with
We
Nick Shea.
willingly made
Whoa,
a bet.
whoa, whoa,
I don't
whoa,
even-
whoa. You both jumped all over that bet like it was really
So
a
he's
fun
from
thing to do.
he's from Ohio, and
from
I'm a Niners
Ohio.
fan. So it was like our respective football teams
I don't give
playing.
a fuck about sports, by the way.
Whoa. September 20
self-censorship.
September
Sorry.
27th they
My
played, but
bad.
it was like the loser had to go the entire month of November without shaving.
No.
And then this guy's like, "Well, someone's getting married, I gotta shave."
It was
But
extenuating
you
circumstances.
lucky,
That's no good. I
you
can't-
lucky viewers get a treat now.
Yeah, so basically because I shaved, I've decided that this morning I shaved. You can see, not bad, right? Pretty good. I got a zip here. I don't know
That's
what's going on
reasonable.
with that, but-
No need to.
Yeah, so
Elaborate.
I shaved this morning. I'm going to not shave for an entire month because the 49ers beat the Bengals in
No,
by, like,
Tom.
3 points
The
in
reason you're
overtime.
going to do it is because you're not a dirty welcher.
Yes.
I don't know what a welcher is. That's the first time in my life I've heard that stuff.
Really?
Really?
It's someone who welches on a bet. You
You
make a
can't-
bet.
Oh.
You shake hands.
It's like
you
a
make
renege or something.
It's a renege,
yes.
yeah.
A renege.
You're yes.
Okay.
You are a person who reneges.
I reneged on the bet, but I'm going to make good.
Good,
So
yeah.
from 1 month from today, I will shave on the hotspot, whatever growth.
on the hotspot.
On the hotspot. I don't know how
Wow.
it's going to happen. I know you guys want this to happen.
I'm sure the other people who use this podcast studio are going to be
They're
thrilled.
gonna love the hell out of it.
Can,
yeah.
can I shave you?
No, no,
Would
no,
that be a-
no.
a-
HR.
I
So
would,
Mass Effect 3
yeah,
is
so that was what
happening.
happened there. I'm shaved. I will soon be hairy.
So that's like December 7th?
7th or 9th. Doesn't matter.
It's a
gonna
day they'll
happen.
live in infamy, that's for sure.
Mass Effect 3. Beta leaked online on Friday. It leaked to essentially people who had signed up for the dashboard update for Xbox Live. If you were in that queue, Microsoft did something goofy and you had the opportunity to download this beta, which will be released to the public in January or thereabouts. BioWare and EA have already announced. But a few interesting things came out of that. First, there's the actual news part of this as far as what was in the beta.
Okay.
Can we talk about that first?
Sure, let's spoil the heck out of this stuff. So here's... You want to know the ending to Mass Effect 3?
No,
No.
don't tell us the ending, for Christ's sake.
Shepard can't stop the grease fire that consumes all of Earth.
The grease fire is a pain in the ass. I mean, you need to use milk is the problem, or some kind of
Yeah, you don't use
base.
water, use milk.
Yeah, you lose. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, so...
So
get to
the things that happened, what we found out was the beta that you'll be getting was something that we apparently the press saw during Gamescom. It's that single player. So if you want to know, go check the site for our coverage of that. But we did see a few other things, most notably the fact that you'll be able to play through the campaign in 3 different ways.
Modes. Yeah.
I guess you could call it.
Ways also works.
This
is great, by the way.
You like this? I think this is good.
The ways it's a great idea.
They're called modes.
Shoot it.
So you have the action mode, the story mode, and the RPG mode. Basically, the action mode is for people who don't like RPGs or stories.
No. Let's just describe them how they are. The action mode will auto conversate for you. You don't make any dialogue choices, and the combat is at a normal level of
it's like
fighty fight.
It's like a shooter, and you watch a story unfold.
Yes.
Right.
What's the second one?
The story mode is where the difficulty of the shooting is turned down, and you have full control over what's the conversation options. And then the RPG mode is kind of what Mass Effect 2 was, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Where
So this
you,
is
which is the way Mass Effect has been. Where you control all the talking and you do the shooting on the normal difficulty level.
This is great for people like me because I think that their shooting is lousy and I think their other stuff is great. So I'm going to play with,
story mode.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Story way.
I don't know if it
pleased.
actually fully addresses some of the issues that people had with Mass Effect 3, namely or Mass Effect 2, namely like the stripping of the RPG elements.
Yes.
But it will definitely solve that problem of I just want a shooter or I just want an RPG.
It's not solving, but it's a band-aid on a giant gaping wound that they created. But yes,
Right,
I think it's a good step.
I think
You
it's a
gotta
pretty
put a little
clever mechanic.
Neosporin
Yeah, I
on it.
like it.
Yeah.
I think that's a neat way to allow for different gameplay experiences within your own game.
But I think they now have a responsibility to make if I want to play an RPG, now I want it to play like an RPG. Do you know what I mean?
That
Like
is
now I
not
want it to
gonna
have
happen.
RPG elements and
I wanna
have
get
fully
into that
fledged RPG.
inventory.
Right. Or if I want to play it as a shooter, I want to have that was really disgusting.
You're
You
getting
gotta put
like
the gloves
elbow
on. You
deep
gotta
into
put,
your
like,
inventory.
Billy
Just
Crystal
like,
delivering
I know
a
what
cow
he's
baby.
doing. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Whatever.
City slickers.
Yeah, but
Our
anyway,
audio listeners just missed something, and I did too because I was adjusting your levels. So
Yeah,
They
what?
know
Get my
city
levels.
slickers.
Get my
just
level
put on
proper.
his latex
So
glove.
they have to make a shooter
okay.
that is as good as or better than Gears of
It
War.
has to be as good as any given cover
Wow,
shooter.
that's a
for
that's
that.
It has
for that
to,
for
Gears
the
of
game
War
to-
came out in
to hold up like that.
2006. If it's not as good as Gears of War, then you guys aren't doing your job properly.
And if I play
Fair
it as an
point.
RPG,
Yes.
it better have as good as an RPG elements as say Mass Effect 1.
right.
As a BioWare game should have.
I mean,
Yeah,
this
that
is a
we- so-
ridiculously large undertaking because they're basically trying to make a Call of Duty-esque shooter as well as a BioWare-worthy RPG.
It's a Gears of
And-
War-esque shooter.
Okay,
but
Gears
yes.
of War.
Yes.
You know it.
But I mean,
top tier.
they got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I think. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Kevin. But I think so we have this leak, this action story RPG. Now that we know these things are in place, are they giving themselves more leeway in terms of how broad they can make their overall design be? They don't have to streamline it for one user. They can
Yeah.
have it be broader, and then they can just have each experience focus on
We'll
things
see.
in different
Totally.
ways.
Here's-
No, I
are
mean-
they going to make good on that?
Yeah.
I'm skeptical.
That is tough.
Yeah.
But
I'm
it
skeptical
also
too,
it
but-
does bring up that idea, and that as a possibility is very intriguing.
Yeah.
I like
I mean,
it.
let's see what happens. I mean, I've always been of this mind of BioWare. I mean, Tom has this love-hate relationship with BioWare for sure. But
He loves them when they make good games, and he hates them when they
It
make.
was,
that's
it was
pretty much
mostly a
it,
used to
but-
love, now kind of hate
Yeah.
relationship.
I mean, but I mean, in some ways, BioWare's sort of the anti-Bethesda when it comes to RPG design, right? Like, Bethesda goes all-out ambition, and they're like, oh, you know what? If there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't really work all that great, we're okay with sacrificing that to be able to give you this enormous world where there's tons
You're not
to
going
do
to say
for 200
you're not
hours.
going to say that BioWare games are super polished, are you?
I'm
Please
not
don't
gonna say
say
they're
Let
that.
him
super
finish.
polished,
Let
but
him
they-
finish.
Because Mass Effect 2 is what you're arguing about, but Dragon Age, that stuff is.
Yeah, well, that's
You wanna
something different.
do-
But the core mechanics are super polished, even if you don't think that the technology is necessarily
One game
current.
had polished mechanics like that they've ever made.
But when you look at something like
there used to be
Mass
like Bethesda.
Effect- shush.
It's amazing how you just have to tell that man, just stop talking.
Well, he's just talking about one game. He's just
I'm
talking about
talking
ME2.
about- no,
He didn't even get to make his points.
But what they do is more concise than what Bethesda does, regardless.
Yes, they have
But
less ambition.
You're far
It's fine.
you're far less likely to run into jank and run into. Just stop it. You're upsetting me now.
Dragon Age 2 had jank out the wazoo.
All right.
That
It
game
did-
is janky.
How much Dragon Age 2 did you play?
I didn't play any of it. But I talked to
you
Curtis and
have
Tom and
you've just
Dan. No, I didn't.
nullified
no.
your ability.
Do you disagree?
In any case, I don't think it's as janky as a traditional Bethesda game, all right?
As like a
So
Fallout
their
New
games have
Vegas.
way less ambition and slightly
My
less
point
jank.
is that
Congratulations.
Bethesda has decided. Shush. Bethesda has decided that they're willing to make those sacrifices, whereas BioWare, I feel like, has decided what their means are within which they can work, and then try to make it as focused as possible within those means. I wish Obsidian would sometimes be more like BioWare than Bethesda because they work far outside of their means, but that's a story for another day. The point just being that there are two different ways of looking at an RPG.
I agree. But there's more to the story
There
than
is
just...
more. Let's go to the other part of this story. So after
I really don't like you right now, Tom McShay.
look at the hate in those eyes. So
I
after
love you
all
too.
of this happened, all of this stuff was posted to a notorious message board forum NeoGAF, which is kind of, I don't know.
Is it notorious?
It's a cesspool of the internet, is what it is.
It is the largest
It's
video
not-
game message board on the
not-
internet.
Yeah, it's not quite
as sensitive.
to the level of 4chan, but it's definitely got. It has a thing for
heavens.
gifs. Please don't hack me, holy Jesus.
Isn't that pronounced GIF?
Yeah,
GIF.
it's GIFs. I
GIF.
don't
I don't-
have nearly the disdain for NeoGAF that you do. I think that
Yeah.
they're well moderated.
That's because
and
I
stuff
have
is
to-
kept in check. There.
I have to
I'm sort
root
of with
through
Tom.
NeoGAF to find through like pages and
No, I
pages of
understand.
GIFs to get anything worthwhile.
Stop
Is
saying
it peanut
GIF
butter
like
in
it's
the
peanut
forest?
I
butter.
can't pronounce.
No,
it.
It's a hard G.
There are
GIF.
obviously
GIF.
some bad stuff with GIF,
Let's
but
move on.
it's the biggest video game website.
The thing
message
that
board.
happened though is all of this information was posted onto NeoGAF, and you just got a lot of screenshots. There's like 30 some odd screenshots of what's going on in the beta, and in response, BioWare
and
said,
information about all of the spoilers, like the
Right.
endings of the game and stuff like that.
yeah, it was a
Oh,
completely
really? That was in there
spoiler-filled-
too?
That was in there too.
Oh,
There's a
nasty.
lot of stuff about how choice plays into it and doesn't play into it and stuff.
Right.
It's it's in-
Google
it's a lot of
Cache, you can
stuff.
find it on our website. I mean, that's the thing; it's its own Google Cache. So as the story unfolded, BioWare was like, "Yeah, as a result of Microsoft's boneheaded move, this all got leaked out. We're sorry; it doesn't actually reflect the final product,
Which is a
et cetera,
lie.
et cetera, et cetera." And so that was
The
They're
game's
there.
coming out-
sorry?
The game's coming out in March. It reflects the final product.
Oh.
The story's not going
Right.
to change for.
I'm cutting you off so I could get the rest of this out.
Oh.
So
Wow, setting a dangerous precedent, Magrino.
as this story unfolded, that BioWare's response was, "Oops, sorry, our bad." Microsoft's response, on the other hand, was to nail NeoGAF with this cease and desist letter that was pretty much, I don't know. How would you describe it, McShay? Your mic is back on.
Can I speak?
I just wanted to get the cease and desist out.
I mean, it's throwing they're bigger than NeoGAF, so they can just BS them into making them because they didn't have a legal leg to stand on because we talked to our legal department and they don't have
We,
the legal
not
backing to force them
quote-
to.
Tom McShay, on us talking to our legal department.
Really?
Well, I just don't.
Is
I
that
mean,
a secret?
well, I mean, people don't always want to go on record for whatever reason.
We talked to a legal
we,
department.
We talked to a lawyer and got the rundown on this.
We called the number on a billboard and asked him about a cease and desist
I
letter.
talked to a
Some
very
ambulance chaser,
respectable
right?
lawyer who works
Oh,
for a very
jeez.
respectable company.
We talked to David Letterman's lawyer.
And he told me that cease and desist letter, it's not actually, we're about to sue you or something legal is about to happen. Basically, you can I could send a cease and desist letter at 44 cents in the mail, cost of a stamp. Doesn't mean anything.
Is that how much a stamp costs now?
It's possible.
Holy cow.
I think
So,
it's more.
but the only way that Microsoft would be able to have a leg to stand on is if the individual who leaked this information also was responsible for the beta appearing on Xbox Live, which seems incorrect. The other thing is if the information in some way violated Microsoft's intellectual property rights by disclosing trade secrets or something, or exposing trade secrets.
Strike two.
So those are pretty much the only ways in which the cease and desist letter has a leg to stand on. The thing about it, though, is when you are threatened with a lawsuit by Microsoft, you pretty much get the hell out of the way, which is what NeoGAF did. They're like, holy Christ, we don't want any part of this. Whatever happened just now, sorry, it's gone. Bad on us.
So basically, Microsoft bullied them into taking it off.
Which is a scary precedent. But and I know it's happened in the past, but this is a very public thing, so
Right.
it's a precedent. But I don't know if you saw yesterday on NeoGAF.
I haven't.
There's a Zelda demo. I don't know how people get this demo, but there's a Skyward Sword demo, and people hacked it, and you can spoil the entire game. If you go to NeoGAF right now, you can see the entire game spoiled for you.
I'm about to spoil the entire game. Link defeats Ganon.
Well, no, but it's like it's got like the
What?
first. You have to go to this dungeon, and then you have to do this to open up this dungeon. Like it has everything spelled out for you.
Okay.
Nintendo has not closed that thread, but it's
Nintendo doesn't know it exists.
it's basically the same thing that has happened like
For
Yeah.
both
with
those
Mass
games,
Effect. It's
yeah.
like back to back, and it's just. But Microsoft closing this down is like a serious like that is terrifying that a company has that much power
Yeah, I mean,
over a
it's-
public message board.
It's a surprise that Microsoft has so much power.
It's obviously a, I mean, free speech and First Amendment rights and whatever is
That has
always
nothing to do with this.
Oh, it has nothing to do with this.
No,
Being
how is
able to
this-
say whatever you want on a public channel has nothing to do with this.
No, well, the message board themselves doesn't have free speech. Like you're not allowed to talk about many things that they don't in the TO terms of service.
Microsoft quashing.
That's not free.
That's not
freedom
free
of speech.
speech.
That's not free speech.
No,
that's not
free
letting
speech.
people
Government
say
has
what
not
they want.
limited our ability to speak freely if Microsoft
By
sues
proxy,
NeoGAF
they
or
kind of have.
Nope, has
Because
nothing to do with
our
the
legal
government.
system
That's not.
has.
We're not going to get
created
into
a-
this, but just trust me that this is not
All
a
right,
free
I don't
speech.
trust you at all, but
It's not a free speech issue.
continue on with whatever your point
You were talking about. We're just talking about how Microsoft. This is just a scary idea that like these publishers are so big and they're so scared about what information is out there on their game that they're just going to stop the public conversation. And I don't like that at all.
Last I
Publishers
checked,
are They're not
stopping people
public
from
conversation is a
talking-
violation of your.
I mean, they're not stopping
rights.
people from talking about the fact that it happened. Are they stopping people from spreading these spoilers further?
Yes.
But I mean, those things exist out there anyways, and like Tom was saying, they aren't stopping them. They're just saying, please stop. We have a big legal department.
Well, if I mean, we don't know what would happen, but if NeoGAF would have said no, we're going to keep posting this, like maybe Microsoft would have gotten an injunction right away and just held it up. Maybe they would have sued them. Maybe the even if they don't have a legal leg to stand on, they probably still
sure,
have
they
stepped
could have
in
done
there.
that. I mean, that's our legal
It didn't
system.
step that far, but I don't like the idea of like a company because they're so worried about the message that's out there and people are upset about what's in Mass Effect 3 and they're like, I'm not going to buy it, and they're spreading this. They're so worried about this PR stuff that they're just like, you can't talk about it. And it's like, that's not even, you're not even related to NeoGAF. Like, you should stay out of this.
Yeah.
So that's what's scary to me.
I don't find that scary at all.
Really?
No, I think that if I want to find this information, it's clearly there for me to find. I think that there are places that I can talk about this information. I think that Microsoft
Yeah, there's smaller message boards.
Sure, I think that Microsoft coming and saying like, you know, please shut this down. Like
They didn't
sure.
say please shut this down. They said shut this down, or we're going to
else."
destroy you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I feel like that's maybe I'm inured to that because that's the world we live in our super litigious society.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like, and also like I don't care to hear the ending.
Oh,
of
I don't
Mass
wanna know.
Effect, you
I don't
know?
want to know either. No, and yeah, I mean, going back to my original point, I feel like it works on a very larger level. Just the ability for a corporation to censor information like that by, throwing their legal department at it and just completely derailing any kind of communication through that is
So I wonder-
scary for me.
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder if, because the thread was largely negative because people don't like a lot of the writing decisions.
And NeoGAF is a cesspool of the internet.
No, if you look at the Zelda thread, it's largely positive because people like what's going on with that. Like if this was a positive thing with Mass Effect 3, and people were like, oh, I can't wait to play this now, would have been shut down.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because
would it have?
That's the question, but it's
I feel like it might. It still would have.
there's a chance, but who knows? I think this had a lot to do with the negative PR spin, and 5 months before release, Microsoft doesn't want that cloud, especially when there's a lot of stuff swirling with Mass Effect 2. There's a lot of people who love it, and then there's the vocal minority who are like,
I mean, you
and
also have
inflamed
to
about
think
the
about
multiplayer edition and I
Yeah.
mean, you yourself had the changes from Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 2, and then seeing if that's going to continue down that road, it's going to make you even more anti-BioWare.
and their last game was not well received.
Right. To that point, though, I mean, a lot of times the leaks that surface are intentional leaks. So it could also be the case that they may have intentionally leaked this and then thinking that they'd get some good press out of it. And then if everybody went all negative on it, then...
Well, I can't imagine they intentionally, because people had to hack the beta to get all this information. Like that doesn't seems like a mistake.
There was data mining that occurred.
Yeah.
I don't even know if data mining is the right word.
I don't know
data
what that
mining is a pretty
means. I don't know
badass
how people
word.
get this stuff. It's weird. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, I don't know.
Can I make a related point because
it.
we're talking about litigiousness,
Ooh.
and because I can't talk about Skyrim really, but I finished Skyrim, but as I speak, I can't break embargo on like how good the game is and stuff like that. But I do want to make a point about litigiousness because we had talked about that thing where Bethesda had, Bethesda Notch and the use of the word scrolls, right?
Right.
So here's something. I think this is okay to bring up pre-embargo, which is that there are a lot of places in Skyrim where the Elder Scrolls branding is completely removed.
Can I give a good visual example of this real quick?
Yeah.
If you look at the box right here, this is the box that I'll be giving away later. Check out how big Skyrim is as compared to the Elder Scrolls 5.
Not even that doesn't
Come on,
even
it's right
bother
there.
me.
It's obviously readable.
It's there. But there
But
are
that's what you're
places-
talking about, though, the way that the Skyrim is marginalized.
The
compared to-
opening credit where you see the name of the game just says Skyrim.
Mhm.
And there are other places too where the credit is just Skyrim.
What did Oblivion say? Did
I
it say
don't
Elder
even
Scrolls
remember.
4?
But my point being only that
Oblivion did a thing where it said like Elder Scrolls IV, and then it zoomed out and it said Oblivion with the same IV. So it did start. with
Oh,
Elder
right.
Scrolls.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
will-
yeah.
I like that.
That was
and-
cool. Yeah, that was a
So,
good trick.
but that's the thing. I mean, regardless of what Oblivion did, that the lawsuit didn't exist before. The
Mhm.
lawsuit exists now, and so I think it's really bizarre that they would be that concerned over the use of the word scrolls in someone else's game when they're not even freaking using it that often in their own game.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make that point
Okay.
that that's what makes the legal issue there just that much more ridiculous.
More
where Bethesda's
frivolous.
concerned.
Yeah.
So you just reminded me of that, so I wanted to get it out while it was in my brain.
All right, so
Thank you.
I don't even remember what we were talking about at this point, so we're going to move on.
Oh, good.
That does it for news. We have more news on the site. GameSpot, news.gamespot.com. It's there. It's all there. Swear to God, it's there. Let's do 10 years ago this week in reviews. You guys excited?
We're getting really close to certain release dates.
We are.
November 15th is the Xbox.
We have, what, GameCube and
15
Xbox?
is Xbox, 18 is GameCube.
So actually, one of our I may have messed this up. We're gonna do it. It's a GameCube launch game. We may have reviewed it prior. I
Let's
don't know.
do it.
9.4. While all of this game's components are strong on their own, they display a great amount of polish and end up making this game far more than the sum of its parts. That was a Ricardo Torres cliche thrown in there 10 years ago. While the game seems a bit short at first, you'll find that earning the various medals, uncovering the power-ups for the various craft, discovering the game's special features, unlocking the bonus levels will help you hooked.
Super Monkey Ball.
Will keep you hooked, sorry. No, it's not. Thanks to tight graphics and immersive gameplay, this game easily stands as the most impressive launch title for the GameCube. GameCube owners in search of a showcase for their new system owe it to
Rogue
themselves.
Squadron.
Yeah.
Star Wars Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2. Was that
Those
out
games
10
are
years
fun.
ago? Yeah.
That game was super
Those
good.
games are really good.
Yeah.
So
That was factually incorrect. That's not the best GameCube launch game.
Oh, really?
We gave a 10 to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, and it was a different system. But I mean, come on,
It's true.
that was the best.
Um,
It launched with the GameCube. I bought the
Okay,
GameCube for
alright,
that
alright.
game,
Nice.
which is so
Well, it's
weird
funny
to think
because I
about.
have a friend who bought a GameCube for Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, most people who bought it at launch bought it for something other than Tony Hawk.
I didn't
But
even buy it at launch.
yeah.
I waited a little bit.
I think I played the N64. Was that Was there a Rogue Squadron on the
Yeah, well,
N64?
this was 2.
Yeah, it
the
had that
original.
extendo graphics chip that you jam in the front.
Yeah.
So I
yeah,
guess-
yeah.
Like the 10 years ago, earlier this week, Factor 5 officially closed. The developer of that game.
Factor 5.
The developer of
I
that
thought
game.
they were closed. I thought
Officially-
they were already closed.
I think it was like
was
the
official.
official. It was this week. They were
Yeah.
like gone. So it's a sad.
Like they handed
It's
over the
sad.
keys to the landlord.
yeah, I don't know. I don't
Is
know.
that Lair?
Yep.
Lair's
that was
still?
Lair.
Okay.
That was their last game, wasn't it?
Yeah. They
That's-
had. I think I remember reading something about. They were developing some like animal World War II game or something that looked super good, or quote unquote super good.
Okay.
So that was
That
Rogue
wasn't
Squadron.
the World War II dinosaur shooter, was it?
There was like rodents involved. I don't know.
Oh my!
8.3.
Okay.
When the PlayStation 2 first launched, developer Angel Studios released this game's predecessor, a surprisingly fun driving game with a subversive tilt.
It's
was
the one
one
where
of-
you jump off of buildings and stuff. You're right. Smuggler's Run.
That was the one that was
That's
the
the predecessor.
Okay, fine, you get it. Smugglers 2. Smugglers Run 2. I'll continue reading.
Awesome game.
It was one of the more compelling of the PlayStation 2 launch titles, but repetition plagued the game throughout and kept it from realizing its true potential. Angel Studios has since honed its prowess on the PlayStation 2 and puts its new skills to use in this game. The result is a faster, sexier, more engaging, and more enjoyable game.
Oh, Smuggler's
Sexy.
Run 2.
Smuggler's Run 2 is the correct answer.
Smuggler's Run is what I thought
Can't believe I got that.
Borderlands and Rage were gonna be.
Yeah.
They didn't turn out to be because I don't know. That's just what I thought it was gonna be.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because this is a Rockstar game, and it's as far as like dormant franchises.
That's a Rockstar game.
That's a Rockstar game.
Man, I used to love Rockstar.
Angel Studios is now Rockstar San Diego. So there you go.
They should make a new one of those.
They should make a new Smuggler's Run, right?
They should also make Boogie Buggy because that was a canceled game that Angel Studios never released.
Oh, really?
I wanted that game.
That
back.
game sounds bad.
Possibly. It's probably canceled for a reason, but I totally want it.
Yeah.
Just because you like to boogie?
I don't know. Buggy Boogie. It's a good name.
I thought it was Boogie Buggy.
I don't remember which
We're
one
gonna
it
move
is.
on. We're moving on to comments, questions, corrections, and clarifications. We had a quickie question from Gitmo Down Under for Kevin, actually. What is up with the ending of Dark Souls? I feel a little ripped off considering I put 117 hours into my first playthrough. Did they think that not many people would finish the game and therefore didn't bother with a cutscene of substance? Don't get me wrong, I love the game a lot, but the end did feel a little cheap. The journey was great, but the destination felt a little flat.
The end is kind of lacking in flash.
Is that a little
and
lame?
Closure.
Yeah.
Welcome to most games. Like, people expect video games to pay off with some sort of awesome cutscene or ending, but they rarely do.
Yeah.
They really don't. And here's, I mean, I don't know. Like I've actually talked about the story and the ending with our very own Lark Anderson,
Oh, yeah.
and he really thinks, and this is a really interesting way of looking at it. He really likes the way Dark Souls tells its story, because it's not straightforward. And when you first look at it, you say, "Hey, this game is not story driven," but it's one of those. You know, like with its gameplay, it's one of those games where the more deeply you dig and the more you experiment, the more you uncover that's actually very interesting. And Lark thinks that Dark Souls is actually a very, very fine example of the kind of storytelling only games can do.
Really?
But
Once
and
again,
there's a real
From
point
Software
to be
being
made there.
leading the charge as far as innovating in video games.
I think that's what they're doing is leading a charge in innovating video games. But I mean, I don't think anybody can really look at Dark Souls and not wish that, you know, a game that epic that you put so much effort into maybe could have gone out of its way to give you a greater sense of reward.
Yeah. I mean, the other example that I was thinking of when you said that was BioShock's ending, where you just got some ratty ass cutscenes.
Well, you know, I remember American McGee's Alice is one of the first games I played where I was just so disappointed with the end, because you go through all this stuff and you're just treated to like a lame, like 10-second scene of Alice walking out of an asylum, and that's it. It's over. I was so depressed.
So in the end, Dark Souls ending, probably something you wanted. Kevin Van Orn agrees, even though it's still a totally rad game. Comments. We had a comment from Eric R., a new listener, I believe. I think he said he was a new listener. I don't know. Eric R. writes, today you made a comment, well, this was last week. You made a comment about the repetitive nature of a single-player experience and how that would tend to imply that rentals are the way to go without a multiplayer component. I agree with that assessment, but it needs to be connected to the earlier part of your show where you asked Todd Howard about the epic single-player experience that Bethesda is known for and if multiplayer was an option. In that instance, Bethesda's approach gives huge longevity and replayability to the single-player experience without needing multiplayer to enhance it. In fact, as Todd mentioned, it could actually detract from the experience due to limited development resources. There is no free lunch. So it's worth mentioning that there is more than one valid approach to skinning the replayability longevity cat, if you will, in the bigger picture of gaming development. Personally, I think the muddled middle where many games lie with a repetitive single-player experience, no matter how good the first time through, and a Me Too multiplayer experience tacked on doesn't satisfy over the long term. I think either a rich single player and or rich multiplayer is what most games are interested in and are willing to pay for, and most gamers, are interested in and are willing to pay for in either arena, as Bethesda's results clearly demonstrate, and also Battlefield 3's, which are both on completely different ends of the spectrum. Then there's Demon's Souls, which seems to have actually put some serious thought into their multiplayer, and it adds richness to both experiences. That's the kind of genuine thought that needs to be put into game development, not tacked on features for marketing purposes. So, nice comment there, Eric R.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you there.
Solid.
We also had a rant of sorts from Grakenfrack. Crack and Frack writing in our comments. If you want to you can either hotspot at GameSpot or just do the comments, whatever. Crack and Frack. I noticed that no one did, not once did he, meaning Todd Howard, mention story as something he considers when designing a game. That doesn't surprise me. It's pretty evident that story is a low priority in these games. They're more about building a world sim than providing a likable main character with a gripping story for people to roleplay. You can see it in the game opening. Well, you could until the leaked video was yanked. I probably should have cut that, sorry. Where you're a passive observer to the most interesting storylines going on involving people all around you. Like Oblivion, I expect this game to provide all the trappings of an RPG, minus any actual interesting narrative to act out. I'm sure the main story, quote-unquote, will be some tacked-on series of fetch-it tasks assigned to the hollow husk of your personality-less avatar. Sigh.
No comment, but he totally nailed what Oblivion was.
Yeah,
But no comment on Skyrim because we're not allowed to talk about it.
I wish I could talk about this right now.
Just you can't.
I
You
have
can't do
very
it.
strong
Stop
feelings
it.
about it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna break an NDA.
I won't.
Microsoft's lawyer is gonna shut you down.
So,
You're gonna get an old C and D.
You need a C&D up in he.
thanks for that, Crack and Crack. If you have... I don't even know.
Sorry.
That sounded so... Actually, I don't know.
It
Thank
did sound
you.
profane.
It sounded a little profane. I
Whoa.
don't know.
Oh.
You just can't use acronyms around these guys, can you?
No, you can't.
No.
We just assume it has something to do with Brendan's mom.
Abbreviations.
Do you have a
guys
comment?
Run wild.
If you have a comment, question, clarification, reach out to us. Hotspot at GameSpot.com or give us a call at 1-877-506-8324 1-877-JONTech. At some point, I will get that phone thing going.
At some point, someone will be able to understand the numbers you just said to them.
It doesn't matter.
Just slow it down.
When I get around to figuring out the phones, then I will put some serious effort into pimping our phone number. Until then, I guarantee you that at some point the phones will be back.
Oh, phones.
Phones.
Oh, this modern technology that vexes us so.
All right. So, pop quiz hotspot. Freedom Prime quizzes. Excluding expansion packs in mobile games, Bethesda Softworks has released 2 Elder Scrolls games that fall outside the numbered series. What are they?
Redguard,
Redguard is one.
Arena.
I thought it was
Arena
Arena's
never
the
came
main
out.
game.
That was a PSP one that never came out, wasn't it?
No, that's
Arena's the first one,
That's the first one.
No.
according to
Redguard.
Danny O'Dwyer.
And
Redguard came out in 1998. The
Black
one
Watch.
No, not Black Watch. Close.
Imperial Ruin. I'm just guessing
No.
right now, obviously.
Are there
Winter
more?
Haven.
Winter Haven is not correct.
No, I don't remember the other one.
Came out in 1997, a year before. Nothing. All right. So the answer is an Elder Scrolls Legend of Battlespire.
Oh,
came out in
jeez, I
1997.
forgot about that.
Yeah. So, Freedom Prime, excuse me. And I think you're the guy who wrote in with Curtis saying that he cursed in front of a small child. So this is your reward, Skyrim. You can tell me
what?
you can tell me what platform you want: 360, PS3, PC.
Man, good job.
That user got that
Outlander.
for stumping us?
Yeah, he got that for stumping us.
That
That's
is
kinda-
awesome.
That's
That's
how this
really
works. That's how the trivia.
It
I
is
don't
awesome.
come on here very often.
Yeah.
If I would have known that, I would have botched that question on purpose. But I just
No,
botched it
the
'cause-
point
Well, I
is
have
we
several-
try our hardest and then fail every week.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah,
week we fail.
I mean, I have backups here, but you guys never get past the first one. So whatever, it's fine. I'm not
We're
gonna hold it
really-
against you.
They're hard.
That Blizzard, like, what was their first name? It was
Silicon
like Space and
Synapse?
Silicon.
I knew that.
I don't know, Silicon and
Or
Synapse.
Synapse and Silica.
Synapse.
Synapse and Silica. Whatever. You
What's
know what I
another,
mean.
What's another question?
You want another one?
Yeah.
I'm.
No, never mind. Move on.
I don't want to give this guy anything.
We
Fine.
could give him some junk.
All right. I'll give you some
I
junk.
don't think we. What
All right.
junk do we even have?
Have you
I'll-
seen his desk? His
Yeah, my
desk is
desk
full of
kind
my
junk.
You're
my
gonna
old
give people
games.
that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were just like a hoarder.
No, I
No,
donated like almost all of my old games that I couldn't get rid of otherwise.
All right.
after I
So
moved.
Stumpia. You're not gonna get a game. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have your whatever. You'll get something. Before Bethesda Softworks began developing games in the Fallout universe, or I think even the Elder Scrolls universe, they created games set in another popular post-apocalyptic wasteland. What is it?
Kevin.
Another popular
Popular
post-apocalyptic.
post-apocalyptic wasteland.
You don't know this, Kevin?
I don't know this.
I thought for sure he would. I have no idea. The first Bethesda game I played
it's
was
probably something
Oblivion.
I know. And
Oh
this has
yeah,
been-
everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it.
Another popular post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Well, let's just start rattling them off.
Mad Max.
Nope. We don't have time for this. Terminator.
Cthulhu.
Oh,
They made like
Terminator.
6 Terminator games
Really?
I did
in
not
the
know
early
this.
to mid 90s.
I honestly
Not
did
all
not
of
know this.
Terminator takes place in the post-apocalyptic wastelands.
Some of it's pre.
A good. It's,
Don't say a
I
percentage.
wish movies were or like
Alright,
things
fair.
were either post or pre-apocalyptic. Just
Alright.
always. Pride and
Stumpy,
Prejudice.
Stumpy, you'll get some.
pre-apocalyptic.
Pre-apocalyptic Victorian England. They don't even know the apocalypse is coming.
You want the term pre-apocalyptic? That would just appear in
for all
all
history
category of
of
your
The
Netflix
dowagers
queue.
that are just drinking their tea.
Well, that was kind of the Cowboys versus Aliens concept, where like, what the hell are aliens doing in the Wild Wild West? I don't know.
Nope.
That was our trivia segment. Think you know some obscure gaming trivia for the NES era or beyond? What
Think
about
you can
a
get
riddle?
to Wikipedia?
Yeah. Well, if it's
I
dumb,
mean, don't
I'm
do
not
that.
gonna read
That's
it.
not fair.
Yeah. Or give me a riddle too, if you know a riddle.
Or a limerick.
Limerick? No, limerick.
You
There's-
can't solve those.
You can't solve a limerick.
But they're fun.
They are.
You can't solve
Some of
those.
our Modern Warfare 3 winners were limericks, so I gave that out. Did you see that? That was cool. I like giving stuff away. Anyway, if you have something, hotspot at gamespot.com. I will send you something relevant and something useless, and it's on you at that point. I don't know if there are taxes involved. Or,
The Elder Coffee Cup.
right,
The discarded scroll.
the discarded scrolls. So, yeah, there we go. One addition to the GameSpot staff this week. Peter Brown joined us. He is working for Curtis.
Peter Brown.
New Games Guide editor,
Yeah.
P. Brown.
What do we call him?
Oh my.
P. Brown.
Peter B.
P2B. Peter Brown, he is our newest addition, a Games Guide editor. We had that company all hands the other day. Did you guys realize that Curtis is single-handedly bringing in 10% of our traffic?
I did realize that.
You did realize? I
Yeah.
feel a little...
Dude, game guides.
Yeah.
What up?
What up, Game Guides? You know. I feel like news brings in about 4 people.
That's what I search for on the internet. I
Game
don't
guides?
need game news.
Yeah,
I
that's
just go
true.
poke you and say, tell me some news. I need to figure out how to beat a dude in Dark Souls.
How to beat it, how to find all those treasure pieces in Uncharted or something.
Nah.
So yes, welcome Peter Brown. You probably have no idea what the hotspot is, but at some point you will. Like the hotspot? Want more podcasts? Check out GameSpot UK podcast or the Ozspot. Not as good as the hotspot, but go for it.
How
iTunes.
do we check those out?
You can type them into GameSpot's Totally Busted search
And get something?
and get something theoretically.
Yay!
Speaking of totally busted websites, we still don't have an iTunes feed. I was assured that this week was the week that iTunes would happen. Lark lied to me. The reason why Lark lied to me is if you notice we had a little bit of a redesign for our game spaces because Google was being weird with the way we did things, and so things needed to be done. We launched that last week, and it promptly broke the hell out of everything, and therefore there was no one to do whatever needed to be done for my
they were
iTunes.
handling some more important business than your iTunes thingy thing.
I
but,
don't-
You know?
I don't agree, you know? I think mine is the most important.
Well, you are remarkably self-centered.
Everybody who listens to the show thinks it's the most important.
Very possible.
It's true. But we're still working on that. I hope to God, I hope it's here next week. I can't do anything else. I've tried everything. I can't do it. Anyway, iTunes. I think that does it for this week. Thank you.
Does it,
guys.
Tom? Does
Chris
it really?
Waters, thank you for joining us.
Oh, hey, you're welcome.
That was great.
Yeah.
Good show.
Thank you. It was fun to talk about
already
the
cut away
game that
from you.
has consumed my life
There we go.
for the past week
I
and
did
will
not expect
continue.
you to talk for so long.
Why do you bring me on here if not to talk for so long?
No,
So there's one other thing that I wanted to mention.
Oh,
and
do
that,
it.
No, there isn't.
He has a gun show for
Oh yeah, so
Modern
we got,
Warfare 3
in
coming
addition
out
to
for-
doing more Modern Warfare 3 reviews, gun show coming up later this week.
Yeah.
You're doing more Modern Warfare 3 reviews?
Yes,
Yeah, it's-
like on the
There's
PC
4 platforms.
and
Oh,
on
right.
the PlayStation 3
And
and
the-
then whatever version came out on the
Kevin
Wii.
Van Ord, thank you for appearing.
I need a Comtrex.
You need a Comtrex. Tom McShay.
Is that the system we use to file expenses?
I don't know what's going on. Our expense system, for the people who don't know, T-Rex.
Broke to hell.
It's called T-Rex.
Broker on our website.
It's like a
Not broke, is
dinosaur,
it?
but it does your taxes and stuff.
Ghost of Annie Rooney, thank you for appearing.
Oh.
I think that does it for us. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Hotspot out!